Hello and welcome back to Infinite Stories, the tool I've been working on for quite some time. Now it's been a minute since I made a dedicated feature video, and I thought it's just right to do more of a devlog update because there are sometimes just a lot of smaller things that don't deserve a full feature video but are still important for the whole UX, UI, look and feel. Sometimes it's a feature for a complete thing, so I might do full feature videos, but I think for now I'll stick to dev updates basically. So for example, as you can see on the left hand side, it's now a bit easier to understand where we are because they have mag sites, but that's not super important, right? I thought in a lot of the videos I needed a transparent background, and so what I did was in the chapter display, general design, and then others, go with the opacity, right? Changing basically how opaque the whole element is. But the problem is that the element includes the text on it, and I needed a background color. But then again, background colors I do have a lot, but they don't have opacity. So including even more options for these didn't feel right, so I decided to implement user colors so that people can decide on the color they actually want to use. So let's assume I use the user color 1. I can go to the global sites, select the first one. I could also go with the second one, but we're using the first, and then start changing the color. Now, as you notice, this is just the background color, and if I make the background color specifically opaque, the text still exists. So I could now change to whatever I like without obscuring the background. Great stuff, right? So let's reset everything so we're not distracted. Also, if we are now starting a new story, and I'll do this for a moment, I have the option to include a slightly changed version of all different sliders. Well, they are not sliders, but selectors. So the target age was revamped to reading level because that's a bit more clear. I added some tooltips around it, right? So what the reading level of the reader of the story is supposed to be. It could be someone who is a young adult, right? But I also included changes for the genre, themes, and tone. So you might have noticed themes is a new part, and I extended the list of genres by quite a bit. And even more exciting, I can now include multiple. So let's say we do horror and action and adventure. This should deal with the themes of career, which doesn't make too much sense, and friendship could be quite interesting. The same goes for the tone, right? It should be definitely sentimental. And as always, I can still include my characters from the character creator, which could be very interesting to decide on what actually they use, what they are doing in this story, but that's going too much into detail. All of these are by now included in the dev version, of course. And that's not all I've been working on. I also included something for short stories in general. So currently we have short stories that are, how did I call them? Basically one-shots. One-shots are short stories generated by basically one single prompt. And while they can be interesting and reasonable, it is also important to understand that longer texts can also be exciting, right? So now I have the option to go with the long form, which is basically first creating an outline and then for each chapter create the whole actual chapter. So it's basically way longer than before. I included some logic in the backend to structure these chapters after normal principles for pacing, etc. And it's working, well, let's call it reasonable at this point in time. I'm also working on some helper prompts to optimize, give feedback, help you understand where you could improve your story, not just for AI-generated content, but in general. So I think there are currently 6 dedicated options. I think I implemented them, well, not really implemented, but included them in this one, where I can analyze the plot, the pacing in detailed, the language, the characters and emotions, and common cliches, so that it optimizes. All of these are not fully implemented yet, so I can't really show it, but I got the prompts ready, so they are almost done. Well, no, actually there's still a lot of work to do, but I tested them and I already got some great results, so I think they can really benefit the overall structure of the story and, well, plot, pacing, etc., right? As you can probably also see, I tested out different languages. This is German for everyone who's unfamiliar with it, and it works relatively easy. And basically, when I created these chapters, I just told the prompts in the custom instructions to work with German instead of English, and it produced a text. Again, not perfect, not optimal, still a lot of work to do, but I'll get there, I'm sure of that, and at least it's making a lot of fun. To circle back, for the longer ones, the long form version of a short story, which is kind of a weird name, but yeah, I have basically these chapters, which, as I mentioned, have an overview. Then the first chapter, right, it's way longer than before, has a lot of dialogue in it, some tension, etc. And you can go through all of these to understand or to generate them. And to see how it looks in the beginning, I also have I think this one it is. Yes, this is currently in process of being written. Basically, I already started the first task, right, which is generating an outline. And the first chapter, I think, right? Yes, the first chapter as well. So let's close this up. And the other ones have like this general outline, right, where I can see what's supposed to happen in this chapter. Could also give the AI full control and say, well, just do everything for me. And it's going through all the different tasks, or I should probably fix this, goes through all the different tasks to create a whole overarching story. And afterwards, it would be possible to then run all the analyzers on these. Yes, they use up a lot of prompts and they use up a lot of tokens, but to understand and to get a good story, I think it helps to just use them. So I tried a lot of these already with, again, reasonable results at this point in time. Right, and you can also see a few other smaller changes, right? For example, the Markdown button where I can just go to a story. Well, this is the long one. Let's go with this one. Go to a short story like this and just download, well, copy the text in Markdown to the clipboard, so you can just send it to your friend if they don't have access to the platform, which of course currently no one has, so I use these from time to time to send to other people. And I think this is it for at least the moment. I will be updating whenever I have something new to show, and I hope you enjoyed what I have so far. So thanks you all for watching. Bye!